Over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how we turned this truckload of lumber and SIP panels, which stands for structural insulated panels, which is just 2 sheets of wood with thick styrofoam, into this beautiful cabin on a mountainside here in western North Carolina in the Smoky Mountains. And we built it on a very difficult space to build on. We're here on a mountainside, not much room to maneuver, not much room to stage anything, but we got it done. And there's some of the guys that helped with the construction. First, want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Deer Run Cabins. They were referred to me by another builder, and I had a great experience working with them. They're best known for their specialty, which are pre-built cabins. And you can see all of the different models that they have. Each of these goes up to 754 square feet. That's what they can put on a truck, move it down the road, and then back the truck up to your foundation and slide it right on. HOA in the neighborhood where I was building, their square footage minimum is 1,000 square feet.
As you can see in this picture, Deer Run Cabins does have the option to interlock sections of their pre-built cabins together in a T-shape, L-shape, C-shape, or E-shape, but I didn't have the space for that on my house pad.
So I had to go with a different option, which is their cabin kits. And you can customize these cabin kits into whatever dimensions, whatever floor plan you want to have. And the ceilings can go up to 13 foot tall, unlike with the pre-built ones, they are a little bit shorter than that. And whether you get the pre-built or the cabin kit, it's going to include everything you'll need: the windows, the doors, of course the lumber. If you get the pre-built, it's already wired, it's already plumbed. If you're getting a kit, you're going to have your electrician, your plumber do all of the plumbing and the wiring there on site. The pricing of the pre-built cabins is very affordable. The cost per square foot for the kit is going to be a little bit lower, not a lot, but then of course you're going to have to do all of the construction there on site, all of the wiring, all of the plumbing, the HVAC, whereas most of that is already done for you when the cabin arrives as a pre-built cabin. So while we're waiting on the cabin kit to get delivered, and we're pretty sure that we're all set here and ready to go with this foundation, ready to pour the concrete and then put our 3-foot block wall. Unfortunately, the inspector looked at this and said, this dirt is not solid enough to put your foundation on in its current form. So you're going to have to dig down deeper until you hit something solid. We start digging and digging and digging. Right there you can see we're at about 10 foot and nothing is sufficiently solid to build upon. So we get an engineer out there. The engineer says, put all that dirt back in. I just need a 2x2 foot concrete footer. And then underneath that, we're going to put 14 ramjack helical piers. And that increased the cost of this building project significantly to the tune of about $28,000 for those piers, for the engineering, but we knew that we were on a sure foundation at that point. The engineer told me that he's put in a lot of these piers and has even seen where when the foundation completely washes out, that those helical piers will still be left standing with the house sitting on top of them, even if all the dirt washes away. So we put all the dirt back, built concrete form, and now you're going to see the ramjack helical piers go in. We were expecting rain, so we covered it up with plastic to make sure the hole didn't fill back up. And you can see how these helical piers just screw together and get drilled down. Ultimately, these piers had to go down about 20 to 25 feet before something solid was hit. There's one of our excavator operators preparing the land. And then once the piers go down, then you put rebar on top of that. and then it just kind of interlocks with the tops of those piers, and then you pour your concrete into that form. And the driveway is so steep that the concrete truck couldn't get up there, so we had to have it pumped all the way from the bottom of the driveway. Here's the first bit of concrete going in. The footers are done. We're ready for the block wall, which is going to be 3 foot tall for the crawl space. Now, by this time, the cabin kit has arrived. Ideally, you're going to have a telescoping handler, also called a telehandler, which is a forklift with a telescoping boom on the end, not only so that you can offload the truck, but also when it comes time to lift the roof panels in place, that telehandler will be able to reach out over top of the house to be able to set the panels in place, which in our case we had 26 of them, and they weigh about 400 pounds a piece. Unfortunately for our building site, as you recall, there's no way to get to all sides of the house with a forklift, with a telehandler. So we had to use another approach, which we'll see here shortly. The heaviest part of the load is going to be the ridge beam, which are those 3 50-foot beams that are nailed together. Yeah, well over 1,000 pounds. Probably the only way you're going to get it moved is just to drag it. First thing going in is the floor system, and then the subfloor is also the finished floor with our particular cabin kit, so we didn't need to put OSB underneath the floor because the finished floor is the subfloor. I'd recommend putting some ram board on top of that finished floor once you get it installed, because all of the construction that will go on top of that is going to beat your floor up pretty bad. Unless your plan is, like mine, was to just refinish the whole floor with a sander once you're all done. Now the sidewall panels are going up. You're going to need a sledgehammer to get those in the last couple of inches, millimeters, using some kind of a wedge to keep it from catching. And then good to have a cargo strap handy as well. Cargo strap was indispensable to get those the last couple of millimeters. Shaving off some of the wood there so that the panels will fit down perfectly. If they start catching and not setting down, you're going to have to do that. Side walls are all complete. Finishing attaching the side walls to the wood on the bottom. And this is how we got the ridge beam and also the roof panels lifted. It was with a duck jack, which we rented ours from Sunbelt Rentals. Again, it's incredibly heavy. This is definitely not the ideal piece of equipment for this, but in our environment, that was kind of the only choice we had. A telehandler would knock this out much faster and more safely as well. One of the mistakes made was putting in those wooden pieces there between the side walls and the roof, because if you recall from earlier in the video, that's where the wires have to be run, so we ended up having to take all of that back out. Finishing up the porch, getting our interior walls done. I At this point, our electrical and plumbing and HVAC rough-ins are all done. We're using mini splits. We're using a gas tankless water heater. We've got 3 mini splits, one in both bedrooms and then one in the living room. And you'll notice these strips now on the walls and actually all throughout the house on the ceiling as well. As I mentioned, our SIP panels came without the vertical chases. Just a mistake that was made. The company made it right. Everything was fine, but we did have to fur out these walls a little bit so there would be enough room to run the wires. And that's where the tankless water heater would be set. You have to run the vents either through the roof or through the sidewalls. They've got to be at least a foot down from the soffit, at least for our building code here in my county. Now we're putting the tongue and groove on the walls and the ceiling. Those are called D-logs on the exterior. They just attach right to the outside of the SIP panel. Deer Run will give you whatever cabinet configuration you need based on your floor plan if you're getting the kit. You could also tell them to just hold the cabinets and take that off of the price and get your own cabinets. I'm picking out the surface for the countertops. Ended up going with marble, which is it's considered a weathered texture, so it doesn't feel perfectly smooth. It's got kind of a weathered texture to it. Love the doors. That's one of the biggest compliments that we get on the house. Hot water heater installed, mini splits installed. We now have to backfill the foundation with 1 foot of sand and dirt, and I've got my crew there helping out with that. Finishing up the driveway, getting it paved. It's quite steep. And also digging the water, electrical, and sewer lines. And the house is now done. And here it is before it is finally painted and stained. Again, I want to encourage you to reach out to Deer Run Cabins. You can go to deerruncabins.com. You're going to love the work that they do. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.